Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi with Real Estate Spotlight, and joining me today is Calgary Realtor Renata Reid with Sotheby's International Realty Canada, and Janel Magnaye, who is a furniture and drapery specialist in Calgary. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Mario. Nice
Yeah,
to be here.
I'm interested in this because this discussion we're going to have because many years ago I went through the selling of a home and the realtor at that time, sorry Renata, I did not know you then. At that time suggested needs the home, and I had no idea what that meant. So let me just start by starting off, Renata. Tell me just a little bit about what does it mean when people are staging a home for sale?
Yeah, so we often have people stage their home and just to declutter and also just stage. So what we mean by that is making the home feel like it would be if it were a show home, with each room representing what it's meant to be for. Often I see a bedroom that's completely turned into a storage room, and there's storage everywhere, and so we try to really kind of declutter that room and create the space that we want people to vision themselves in. So it's really instead of a storage room when it's really a bedroom. So that's how we work with that. Yeah.
So Janelle, like in your experience of looking at homes, is that like a number one problem? Like there's just too much stuff in places.
Yeah, are we talking specifically in show, like when people are showing homes, or just in homes in general?
Well, both actually.
Well, I have in my experience when I've put together a beautiful home with furniture and drapery, and then I come back. Like I get that we're all living life. We all have clutter, but I know that I always fluff my pillows and take time to put everything together. But I do find that some clients, when I go back to the space for photos, it's now set up like their offices are set up a particular way. And after I've left from the photo shoot, they're like, "Oh my gosh, don't change it. I love it that way." So I think it's just learning how, when you have this beautifully created space, to keep it beautifully created. Yes, we have clutter. We live in our spaces, but we can take 5 minutes every day to just bring it back in order. And it just feels so good. And there's great energy when our spaces are in order.
Now, is there, in terms of the actual staging of it, let me talk about a couple of key areas, right? And maybe I have each one of you give me your thoughts on that. Let's start obviously with the outside. It's going to be the first thing somebody notices coming up to a home. Like, what needs to be done to make that, I guess, home enticing to buy?
So for an exterior, we tend to focus on the first 30 seconds really that people walk into the home. It's really important that, the landscaping is especially right now going into the spring summer market. We're really seeing a lot of houses that are just, things are just not tidy after winter and everything. So people are starting to tidy those up and starting to water their landscaping and stuff. So in the grass. So it's all starting to, and then, as you go into the home and, like you want to start making it feel like open and airy and starting to bring, even natural colors and different things. So Janelle actually is amazing at bringing in the different color tones. And there's some pretty interesting trends I'm seeing, and she talks about quite often. So maybe Janelle, you can talk about some of the ways people can reorganize their home when listing in this market.
Yeah. Well, what we're seeing right now in 2025 is this European influence of timeless charm. So this look layers very rich colors, some of the darker woods. And what I'm loving to see are furniture pieces with traditional craftsmanship. And you're also seeing some more modern pieces with curves coming in when you're with your sofas and chairs. So they're trends. So pick the pieces that you love. Don't overdo it, but just consciously add it here or there. But if it's for selling your home, maybe it's just updating area rugs, maybe toning down the colors, right? Because a lot of us have, or even painting walls. Like I know a lot of people who love color, and color is fantastic, but it isn't for everyone. So muting it down into more timeless charm that will take you everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
I want to ask you about kitchens, and kitchens are such a focal point
Mhm.
these days, and they're basically the family room, right? And um, what needs to be done in kitchens to make a home attractive?
Oh, you go first, Renata.
Oh no, it's okay. Go ahead. You had a thought right away. Go ahead.
Well, I want to say get rid of white cabinetry. It's so passé, and even just having a slightly off white. There are lots of beautiful colors out there. You can go like Benjamin Moore, but I love Benjamin Moore, like Revere pewter or natural linen. There's all sorts of great colors that you can use on your cabinetry. And I think it's just like bar seating. Like you're seeing a lot of integrated tables into your island now that a lot of families are loving.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are now, again, going back to that kind of vintage European charm. We're also seeing the removal of traditional solid islands and having what looks like a furniture piece. So this beautifully ornate crafted wood base with a stone top, which is like your kind of your baker's island, which is quite beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's just taking away the starkness of white and bringing some warmth. We're also seeing more woods come back. Surprisingly, not the espresso that we saw in the 90s, but we are seeing some darker painted wood cabinetry.
Renata, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I've been seeing a lot of houses as I'm showing properties recently. I'm seeing a lot of these wood tones that you're talking about, and they're beautiful. And it just gives it that warmth that, with a white stark place, you just don't get. And when I see those woods, I can see my buyers lighting up and going, "Oh, this is so beautiful." They just love to see color and just a variety of textures, colors. It's all coming back, and like you said, I think accents doesn't have to be a permanent element. It can be accessorized by furniture or even the drapery and different elements like that. Even the lighting. I mean, Janelle is a pro at lighting. She often recommends changing light fixtures to enhance the space, and sometimes adding those light fixtures that just kind of really add another element of depth to the space.
Yeah. How just curious, how difficult is it to deal with sellers that maybe some of them are not, I don't want to do all this stuff to my house now, like this, how do you deal with that, Renata?
Yeah, so that's a very good question, Mario. We often have a list. So we go through a process in our listing when we're listing a home. So we kind of go through. We want to first identify issues like with if we're going to do a home inspection. Sometimes in certain situations we get a home inspection done. Then we kind of look at all the things that need to be done and addressed. And then we go through all the elements of the home that we should have slight updates to that will give it that really nice feel. I don't want people spending a lot of money on selling their home. I want them to kind of spend it when they're buying and putting it into their new home. And so we often just kind of go through some of those things, light updates like paint, like you can paint a kitchen. I mean, those are really inexpensive ways to update a home, or even just painting some walls and doing touch-ups. And lighting is probably your cheapest way to make a space look like it's been updated. So I feel like that's been, and sometimes I know there's some resistance, but we kind of go through a list of the things, and we want to make sure we're kind of looking at it from a bird's eye view without spending too much money, because we want them to decorate and spend their time on the new place they're moving to.
Yeah. And Janelle, I'm just curious from your perspective, and again, in terms of staging homes and stuff, um, what are you seeing are the top trends when it comes to furniture and then I guess drapery? or
Yeah.
or window coverings.
Yeah. Well, Calgary has always been known for blinds, and I would like to change that at a time and incorporate drapery. It just creates a softness and a mood in a space. And whether it's fully closing drapery, I get that there's a need for blinds, right? We have south facing windows. The office that I work in has a beautiful Roman blind, but it's
Mm.
giving it some character and beauty to it rather than your slatted blind. So drapery, we have a lot of double treatment drapery where you have beautiful solid side panels and fully closing sheers, which gives you kind of a very soft look. Um, but even patterns, like there's all sorts of different directions that you could go for drapery. For furniture, yeah, so I was saying we're seeing a lot more wood tones, and this terms kind of sustainability is something we're hearing more and more in the industry. So I'd like to think that fast furniture trend is maybe moving away a bit, and we're seeing people interested more in vintage pieces. So whether they're repurposing antiques that are passed down from relatives, or you can now get recreated versions of these pieces of furniture. And the woods are warm and they're artistically created and beautiful. So we're seeing those.
Mm.
But we're also seeing people combine modern and traditional, which I love, right? You could have a very traditional space with respect to your built-ins, your moldings. You could have paneled walls, and you could have this very rounded kind of bulbous sofa in the center of that. And it's stunning. I love that balance. I love that you can mix them. It's not that you have to be just contemporary or have to be just traditional. It's the most beautiful spaces are the ones that combine them beautifully.
Hmm. So, last question I have, and a little different, but
Mhm.
you smell in the house. Like, and, I see sometimes that, people talk about, having some fresh bread, like, in a big oven and stuff like that. What do you both think of that?
Yeah, the smell and the feel and all the different elements of the house all really just marry the place together with all those elements. And it's all the feelings that you walk in when you smell, the bread in the oven. It's kind of a nice smell. We sometimes do cookies or vanilla or something that just kind of gives it a natural smell and feel. But yeah, it's all the elements, not only sight, hearing, or taste, smell, everything. Like it's just all about, making the space very welcoming and for appealing to everyone.
Yeah.
You
I,
know?
I I just wanted to add, like, in addition to the smells, to me, it's light. And for somebody who just
Mm,
recently purchased a house, that was exactly what sold me was the light. Light is everything.
mm,
Hmm.
And whether like natural light, of course, is the best, and you get what you get depending on which exposure you have. But in addition to that, is like
mm,
secondary, just different accent lights. I'm a big fan of lamps. And there's all these beautiful little lamps that you can incorporate everywhere. I even have little ones in my kitchen on the counter instead of using under counter lighting. So to me,
mm.
light also makes a
Fun.
huge impression.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you
Thank
so
you, Mario.
All right, that was Renata Reid, who is a Calgary realtor with Sotheby's International Realty in Canada, and Janel Magnaye, who is a furniture and drapery specialist in Calgary. I'm Mario Toneguzzi with Real Estate Spotlight. Thanks for joining us today.